Well, it is tough to find a more prolific character in Edmonton's history than Peter Pocklington, and the tales of his exploits make a great read. In the book, I'd Trade Him Again on Gretzky, Politics, and the Pursuit of the Perfect Deal is filled with revelations about Pocklington. Today, Terry McConnell joins us. He teamed up with Jalen Nye to write this book. So why did you decide to write a book about a guy who isn't all that popular in the city?
Maybe one of the reasons why was because he isn't all that popular. And there had to be a story there that nobody knew about, or very few people knew about. And it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to sit down with him and with people who know him, people who've done business with him, people who've worked with him, and just find out what the real story was.
So how long did you spend putting this book together?
It took 3 years. It was 3 years of speaking to people and doing research and writing and more writing and more writing. It was fun.
So he's obviously someone that you're interested in.
I've always been interested in Peter Pocklington. I moved here in 1995, and at that time, of course, he was at the height of his unpopularity, I guess you could say. And it baffled me as someone coming from the outside. I didn't quite understand why he was unpopular as he was. I knew all the horror stories. I think
why does the city hate this guy so much?
Yes, exactly. And but so he always held a fascination for me. And when the opportunity came to do this book, we just jumped at it.
So what were some of the biggest surprises that you found when you wrote the book?
Peter Pocklington, the philanthropist, I think was probably one of the huge surprises. We did not know that he was a community builder, for instance, and it went largely unheralded. The Jamie Platt's YMCA, he donated $1 million towards the construction of that complex, and he was given the naming rights. He could have named the YMCA after himself. He chose to name it instead after a 12-year-old cancer victim he had come to know through the Oilers. That's who Jamie Platt is. The Glen Sather Sports Clinic was another one. Hundreds of thousands of dollars he donated to the University of Alberta for the sports clinic. Again, they gave him the naming rights. He named it after Glen Sather instead of himself.
So modest in a way, too.
Yes, and in his own way, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the most widely publicized revelations was details of a plan in the 80s for the Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs to swap franchises. How did you come upon that?
That was purely by accident. and I was amused after the story came out that people said, oh, it's Peter Pocklington, just usual BS. And the story did not come from Peter at all. The guy who turned us on to this particular story was Wayne Gretzky. He said, by the way, did Peter tell you about, and goes on to tell us the story. And Jalen and I kind of looked at each other and went, oh, holy moly, you know, there's something here. So the next time we saw Peter, what about this story, Peter, about the swapping the franchises? And he said, oh, and then he goes on. And, you know, he had forgotten about it until we brought it up.
Nice.
Yeah.
So who else did you have a chance to work with? Wayne Gretzky, obviously.
Wayne Gretzky was terrific. I mean, he was very supportive and spent all kinds of time with us, and consented to put his name to the forward in the book.
Nice.
Glen Sather was another one who speaks very, very highly of Peter and was very helpful. Brian Mulroney, the former Prime Minister, whose political paths crossed with Peter's back in the 80s, and they continued to be friends, and he was involved as well. Kevin Lowe with the Oilers, Rod Phillips, the radio voice of the Oilers, was terrific. Had a lot of great stories to share with us, and Charlie Huddy, former assistant coach with the Oilers, was another one. Bob Canaswich over at the University of Alberta. A lot of people were very helpful to putting this together.
Now, how helpful was Peter himself?
Surprisingly, very good.
Nice.
He was candid. He was forthright. He knew that the story, and we were very upfront with it, this story was going to be warts and all. We weren't going to gloss over some of the aspects of his life story that weren't as successful as others. And he was good with that. And if we asked a straight question, we got a straight answer. He was very good that way.
Nice. And so his saga isn't over yet. He has a court date coming up in January. So
yes, and we'll see what happens. That was hard for us because you know, we had deadlines. You know, we had deadlines for the publisher. We finally had to decide, okay, we've got to go with what we've got here. If there's a paperback version coming out, hopefully we'll get the rest of the story in there.
Right. So timing's everything on this one.
Yes.
Okay, so the book is called I'd Trade Him Again on Gretzky, Politics, and the Pursuit of the Perfect Deal. And, of course, it is available in bookstores just in time for Christmas. Nicely done.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much for coming in.
All right.